Hi everybody! Cannot believe we are heading into Labor Day weekend. Happy Friday, and I hope you guys have had a wonderful summer. Tom is coming in, and as always, look to his wise opinions on everything crazy that's going on, and there's quite a lot that we want to talk about. Mainly, we want to go over the fire hardening issue that a lot of people have questions on, and also talk about insurance. On a side note, I do want to also let you know up front that we are having a backed by popular demand a lunch and learn, trying to set it up again at Morgan Run for the 26th of September. And I have an attorney from that's on the council for NAR that should be really good, bringing us information that will keep us out of trouble, and also open for questions that you may have. And then also somebody with My NHD will be sponsoring, and she's going to bring other information that you may not be aware of that can be helpful to your buyers. So anyway, without further ado, here comes Tom. Hello.
Hi Amy, hi.
And thanks for doing this.
Happy to do so. Happy to do so today.
So we were just having some major discussions, because it's not black and white, but the main thing is that we have to protect our clients, and especially with people removing contingencies as
Correct.
aggressively as we're doing and so forth. So I'm going to let you take it away, and then we'll go from there.
You know, Amy and I had a little bit of a pre-meeting, and what we're really talking about today, which is becoming very, very important, and it's in the news every day. How do you get insurance on a property? What's coming down the pipe so that we can make sure that our clients can get insurance? And the other topic that we're talking about is, how does that fold in to the wildfire disclosure and the actions that need to be taken as a result of a finding whether or not a property is in a high fire risk area. Let's start off with high fire risk area. How would you know, if you're a buyer's agent or a listing agent, how would you know if a property may or may not be in a high risk zone? Well, if you're the listing agent, the first thing you want to do is work with Allison, Amy's assistant, and get the link that will take you to the various governmental sites so that you can look at the maps. Maps are very confusing. So if you're the listing agent, the next thing you want to do is order an NHD.
Yes.
And get that turned around. Actually, the NHD, if you're the listing agent, pursuant to the listing agreement, says that you will, within 5 days, order and pay for an NHD.
And excuse me for interrupting, but I'm thinking that you really should order an NHD like you would like a termite report up front.
Absolutely correct. If
So
you
you know.
absolutely could, because if in fact there has to be an investigation and an inspection, let's use the city of San Diego. You're going to go on the various websites, make a request for an appointment for someone to come to the site. I believe the current fee is $118 for the representative of the city of San Diego to come out and do an inspection and or a certification. So yes, suggestion is well taken. You want to order the NHD immediately and get those results, and read it very carefully. It's like a termite report. It has information in it that tell you yes, no, or maybe. I'm the first one to tell you that the CAR form about the wildfire defense tree and how to read, if it's this or that, yes, no, maybe, forget using that.
Yeah.
Buyer agent or listing
It's
agent,
confusing.
just get the NHD or look at the various links, and you'll know whether or not it's in there or not. This does fold into the fact that a question that's always being posed to me is indeed the full compliance, certification, and or who's going to get the compliance and certification, is it a point of sale contingency? My review is, and I've looked up the civil code, my review is, and I'm suggesting to you agents that you understand, although other agents won't understand, it is indeed a point of sale contingency. It is documented in the civic code, state code, that in the event the property is in a wildfire or high risk area, something needs to be done about it. And that would be an investigation and a certification. So if we say certification, Amy, the way I view it is just like a clear termite report. Unless and until you have a clear termite report, you don't have a clear termite.
Yep.
Same thing is true for the wildfire disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that we have is once we get an escrow, whether the listing agent or the buyer agent, we try to pass it off between buyer or seller. Many agents that list properties finally say, I'll just make it the responsibility of the buyer. And he has a full year after he agrees to do that to get the certification. What I'm seeing coming down the pipe, it's kind of like, ooh, here's my hat. I'm telling you, insurance companies will look at their database before your agents or your buyers ask for an insurance policy. They're going to look in a database and say, hey, this is in a high fire risk area and we're not going to insure it, number one, or if we are, you have to have certification. Insurance agents will say, yes, we can insure. And it's just like being a loan officer. It has to go to underwriting. We now know that underwriters drive by properties just like lenders do, right, and determine. And I was talking to Amy, you guys, about maybe a property in Carmel Valley on a street called Drakewood, which is a view lot. People paid $100,000 more for the lot. Beautiful swimming pool, backs up to a brush managed city of San Diego. Hopefully they're taking care of it. I've got 15 palm trees in the backyard. Mm-hmm. Do I have 15 candlesticks ready to ignite in the event of a wildfire? The answer is I do. So, do you not believe that somebody who's either going to fund the loan or insure that property is going to require that those candlesticks be trimmed or taken out?
Right.
It's not always there on the first brush, but I see it coming down in the next 12 months. So.
Yeah, and actually on that, so I just had a property that closed escrow, but it was really interesting. It's not in a high fire zone, but what I do is when I get acceptance on a property, the first thing I tell the buyer is call your insurance agent. Like before you even spend money on an inspection, make sure you can get insurance. So 2 things you need to know, that not only does the property have to pass, but your buyer also, they want the Social Security, date of birth, they want all this personal information on the buyer to make sure your buyer has not made insurance claims in the last whatever years, because if they have, they may not accept your buyer. So you need to know that. But also this property that just closed that was not in the fire zone, the insurance agent said, yes, no problem, you have insurance. The day before we were supposed to close, and it was all cash, so it wasn't a requirement of closing, but obviously I wanted my client to have insurance, by the time we closed. The insurance agent said, well, the underwriter came back and said they need extra photos, and it's going to be in underwriting for 15 days under review. Well, and they've already removed all contingencies. So that was kind of crazy. Now the insurance agent was able to find another company that could turn it around within 24 hours, so we closed on time. But I'm telling you, I always tell my client, I can't stress enough how important it is that you know for sure you have insurance and that it's gone through underwriting. So make sure that happens. And again, by doing these steps, you will sleep better at night and nobody can come back to you and say, why didn't you tell me? Which is going back to like exactly. Tom as well. And we do see where a lot of times the listing agent might pass off the fire hardening and say, no, the buyer needs to order it. If you're in a multiple offer situation, then you can't put it in the RPA. I mean, if I see a property and I know it's high fire and there aren't multiple offers and you have to do crazy things, then I would almost suggest that you write in the RPA, seller is responsible for providing the certificate prior to close of escrow. Like termite. Right. If it's a multiple offer situation, you get acceptance and you're afraid to put it in there, then you immediately ask the seller if they're going to get the certificate by closing, or you tell your client, pay it's just like an inspection fee for you. Pay the $118 and don't remove that contingency until you have their certificate.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, for the listing agents, I just refer you back to paragraph 10E of the RPA. That says very specifically the NHD needs to be ordered within 5 days of listing the property. For those of you that are working with buyers, and or if you're a listing agent, I refer you to the residential purchase, RLA is the other one I was talking about. The RPA, paragraph 10A and 10B2A, sorry to give you those numbers, it does refer back and it uses very specific verbiage, and it says point of sale. Any requirements to bring it into compliance under those two paragraphs talks about before final walkthrough or close of escrow. It's in the contract, and so Amy's giving you tips on how to handle it, but I'm just suggesting to you that it is indeed becoming a major issue, and contingencies like you're suggesting should not be removed unless and until certification as agreed, based on the contract you all agreed to, whether or not the certification's available. If it's not, you may have a delay in closing. And the problem I see is you can link City of San Diego, they may not come out for 3 weeks. You can do Escondido, you can do Ramona, you can do Del Mar, Solana Beach. They're all in different zones, and we don't know unless we start to make the inquiry, which agency and how busy they are. So bear in mind, it's a deal point and it's a point of sale requirement.
Yeah, I think everybody should have a note to themselves and also to the TC that you have a check mark. Buyer has confirmed that underwriting has approved insurance. And do we have the certificate, or are we going to get it prior to closing? So I think that those two things, we don't give full contingency removal until you feel comfortable on those two items.
And what's going to happen is your risk management guy, I'll get calls from you, and what's the problem that we have is the other agents are not current. They're sending this down to the TC, who doesn't get the file for 1 to 3 days. By that time, he or she will make an order for the report. Guys, gals, you're looking at 7 to 10 days of delay that if you knew you had to link to the City of San Diego, you could have already had an appointment.
Right.
So I'm suggesting to you, don't delegate this to a TC. Don't delegate this if you're a buyer agent. Don't let the listing agent delegate it to a TC. You guys need to get on the various links and get on the phone aggressively like Amy would do and start pounding some hands and say, we need this report. Where is it? So that's my suggestion for the day.
Yes, we want to sleep at night.
Yeah. I'll let you summarize.
Yeah, so that's basically what we're seeing out there. It's still, an interesting market. Some properties sitting, some properties getting still multiple offers, even with the interest rate. So I tell a buyer, if you find the property and it works with your, in your budget, go for it. Don't wait, because you never know. So anyway, thank you for tuning in, and hope everybody can make it on the 26th. Allison will be getting that invite out, and please RSVP. We will be having lunch, and hopefully just a nice also to get people in a room together. So have a wonderful holiday weekend.